Thank you for spending your Saturday and attending NUSIS for a second edition. I'm the current director of a conference. I'm Natasha, senior at Northeastern, and I'm joined by our co-presidents this year.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Siegel. I'm a fourth year at Northeastern and one of the co-presidents.
My name is Spencer. I am also a fourth year student at Northeastern, and I am also one of the co-presidents.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mason Fitzpatrick. I'm also a fourth year, currently serving as co-president of NUImpact, and I'm beyond excited that you're all here. NUImpact is Northeastern's student-led impact investing initiative and fund. We were founded in 2016 with the mission to advance awareness of purposeful capital and to strengthen our local community through comprehensive educational programming and targeted investments in Boston-based social enterprises. This twofold mission is reflected in the structure of our organization, as Izzy will discuss.
So as he mentioned, NUImpact is structured into two complementary groups. First, the NUImpact Fund seeks to invest flexible capital into Boston-based market-driven businesses addressing social and environmental challenges faced by underserved communities across a broad range of industries. The second pillar is the educational programming team, which seeks to inspire and educate both Northeastern students and other stakeholders on the broad realm of impact investing through standalone events and conferences like this. Overall, I think many current members of NUImpact, including myself, joined because we are looking to integrate our passion for sustainability and purposeful impact with our undergraduate careers, no matter the current major or future career direction.
Thanks, Izzy. I'd like to quickly touch on the history of the summit and why we're all here today. This conference was founded back in the fall of 2019 with the core goal of showcasing the various opportunities available within the sustainable and impact investing ecosystem from both an educational and experiential point of view. By fostering dialogue and connection between seasoned professionals in the field and those interested in pursuing a career in it, be it undergraduate students, graduate students, young professionals, etc., we were able to accomplish just that. We've heard from so many attendees from the fall event who were inspired that day to align their personal and professional passions and pursue a career utilizing capital to create a better society. While this iteration of our summit may look a little bit different than our in-person event back then, we're hoping to spark similar takeaways to our diverse programming slate today. With that said, I wanted to take a second to thank all of our amazing sponsors for supporting the summit and making it possible. So a huge thank you to Hercules Capital, North Star Asset Management, and the Northeastern Office of Alumni Relations.
Thank you, Spencer. So this year at NUSIS, we really want to try to expand our scope and help you see, right, how can impact investing delve into the diverse asset classes and sectors. So we're really focusing on interdisciplinary programming, as you can see in our panel topics today. We have women in impact investing, we have sustainable energy and infrastructure, the future of ESG investing, healthcare innovation, and creating opportunities through microfinance. We hope you all be able to take a little bit away from each of these panels and learn how impact investing can be applied in these interdisciplinary approach. So now I'd like to welcome our opening keynote. So Jeff Bourne, he's an Associate Dean of Undergraduate Programs at Northeastern University. Welcome, Jeff. A pleasure to have you.
Thank you, and good morning. As Natasha said, my name is Jeff Bourne. I'm the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education at DeMoore McKim, and it's my distinct pleasure to welcome you all here and welcome you to Northeastern University. In all of higher education, I don't think there is a more improbable success story than that of Northeastern. On October 3rd, 1898, some lawyers from around town began offering a study of law at night on a part-time basis, at the first program of its kind in America. And out of that beginning is the seed for Northeastern University. By 1907, the School of Commerce and Finance was beginning to offer night classes in business. And they also then moved to day classes in 1912. And that's a pivotal year for Northeastern because in 1911, the Boston Red Sox decided that they were going to leave their Huntington Avenue grounds and they were going to build a new ballpark that you probably know of, Fenway Park. And that opened up a prime piece of real estate on Huntington Avenue. And the folks at the YMCA took the opportunity, grabbed control of that property, and that set the stage for ultimately what became the campus of Northeastern University. 1922, the School of Commerce became the College of Business Administration. 1946, after the end of the Second World War, Northeastern admitted its first women. By 1948, we had separated from the YMCA and we were a completely standalone university. Jumping ahead to the 21st century, in 2010, the finance group began offering a course called Sustainability in the Business Environment. And that's become the cornerstone of the sustainability minor in DMSB. And then the same year that this group got started, I began negotiating with an angel investor here in town. He had been a regular guest in a entrepreneurial finance course that we were offering, and everybody raved about him. But this guy really liked the freedom of being a guest lecturer. And when I first approached him about maybe teaching a class for us, he wasn't very excited about that. He liked the idea, but he didn't want to be tied down. So I worked on him, and we ultimately agreed that he would take a class for us in the summer of 2017. It was a little bit shorter. The class would be, the pace would be a little bit different. And the rest, as they say, is history. Many of you know him as Mark Bernfeld, and he will be making closing remarks at this event. And so that's kind of the long and way to get to where we are today. And it's really, this is a topical area and a pursuit that's really near and dear to my heart. And I want to again welcome everyone for joining us today. And I hope you enjoy the great program that folks have set up for us. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Natasha, and she's going to introduce the next speaker for this morning. So thank you and welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Jeff. And now I would like to welcome our opening keynote, George, who's an angel investor, social entrepreneur who founded Third Sector Capital. Hi, George.
Good morning, everyone. And how nice to see Jeff Bourne here. Jeff, you and I have had many conversations on this topic, and I'd be very interested to see what your research has to say about it. Honored to be here, and a little blown away because when I started in this area, maybe 20 years ago, we would get laughed out of the room talking about things like venture philanthropy and double bottom line and so forth, and it's really turned into something mainstream. It's so exciting to see at Northeastern. The co-presidents, or at least a subset of them, asked me to talk a little bit about my personal experiences today. And I said, oh, okay, great. I get to talk about myself. That's my favorite subject. So I will do a little bit of that. Idea being that mostly they're students who are listening in today. And maybe there's something I can share about my own personal experience that will be relevant. So I looked at my old yearbook and I saw what my quotes were. And the first quote there was kind of a strange one. It was from Buckaroo Banzai, a movie that you may never have heard of. But the quote was, "Wherever you go, there you are." And I was trying to remember, what was I trying to say there? But really what it's about is that wherever we go, we carry around the values and the personality traits that define who we are. And we bring them into the workplace, we bring them into our home, we bring them into our careers. And so in my case, I was the product of two extremes. Thinking all the way back, I went to a communist high school. It really was. It was called the Putney School in Vermont. Some of you may have heard of it. It's still there. But the founder of this school back in the 30s sent her kids to study under Mao Zedong in China. And I remember they came back to visit the campus. These are Caucasian kids. They came back to campus speaking, they were adults by then, but speaking with Chinese accents. So on the one hand, I went to this communist high school, but on the other hand, I was this math kid in New York. And my sixth grade teacher saw that I was a math kid and introduced me to her brother, who had a little firm called Market Math. And so really from 8th grade on, I spent all my time when I wasn't in school kind of at the blackboard. And back then, they were blackboards, with this guy being an apprentice, learning how to apply mathematics to market situations. And we were the very first shop. It was just a group of 5 people, but we were the very first shop to, for example, apply predictive analytics to direct mail campaigns. And we did all sorts of stuff, and I kind of fell in love with it. And it was the advent of computers back then. And so really it was just all about what data set can we work on next. And that led me in college. I was a physics major, and I got interested in, well, what if we applied the laws of physics to the market? And that really became the passion for me. And you know, I wasn't chasing money. I wasn't trying to change the world. I was just really interested in data and whether we could find new laws based on data. And that, in fact, was what drove my career. It wasn't out of a high sense of purpose, really so much, and nor was it about making money. But I will say this, eventually, my values, my 2 sets of values came into severe conflict. And I had a disillusionment that happened. I was in my mid-20s. I was doing consulting work in North Carolina, and it was a factory in Florenceville. And the person who ran the factory was very proud of himself, and he wanted to tell me a story about how he had, in a sense, snuck in a way to reduce wages without the workers being able to understand what had really happened to them. And the way he told the story was, still chills me. He comes in and says, "George, come over here." I said, "You ever try to boil a frog?" I said, "No." And he says, "Well, you take a frog and you throw him into hot water, he'll jump right on out. But if you put a frog into cold water and then you heat it up real slow like, you're going to get yourself some boiled frogs." He says, "You know what I got me down there in Florenceville? I got me 147 boiled frogs." And I looked at him, I said, "I can't believe that this is your outlook." And it was at that moment that my values from my high school life came into conflict with everything I was doing. And I freaked out. I said, there is obviously something deeply structurally wrong with the system. It's not for me. So the next day, I was on kind of a fast track career. I came in and I quit, cold turkey. And I said, I got to go find myself. Now, the truth is that 9 months later, I did find myself, which was I found myself dead broke in a tent at the base of Mount McKinley up in Alaska with a frozen water bottle. And I realized, whoa, this is not working very well. So here's the thing. I came back. I actually went back to that consulting firm, but with a new set of terms. I said, I'll come back, but I won't work on anything unless I get to choose what it is. And for the rest of my career, I'm going to look for innovative ways to work within this system that I've fallen in love with doing all my nerdy math stuff, which is to harness market mechanisms. But I want to harness market mechanisms for the good. And that one thing led to another, and that's what led to the launching of Capital One, where I was one of the founders. We were just doing nerdy analysis, but we also were really truly about democratizing access to credit. And eventually I left Capital One and I spent 20 years in the social sector, trying to, the mission being accelerate America's transition to a high performance social sector. And really a performance-driven social sector. So, you know, I tell this story not only to kind of send the message to the students that, you know, wherever you go, there you are, which I suppose is kind of the Shakespearean to thine own self be true. I think it really is true. But also to say, I think that this whole conference, we share the same idea, which is, on the one hand, we recognize there are deep structural problems with our whole system. But rather than to scrap the entire system, I think the notion in this community is to say, can we take what's strongest about capitalist approaches, market mechanisms, so forth, their ability to allocate resources very well, to drive innovation from the bottom up, to reward performance, those types of things. Can we take what's strongest and make structural changes within for the better, so that we're reflecting not just money, but also incorporating the other things that we value as well? And I suppose an economist would say is that we want to take the externalities and factor them in. So I think at this time in history, there's never been a better time for us to actually not have to have two versions of ourselves the way I felt like I did when I was young. You know, I'm either the communist kid or I'm this capitalist kid. That these things are coming together, and it's a really exciting time to see that happening. To close out, let me just suggest 3 topics to cover as you work through the sessions in the conference. One of them is what I would call the secondary market problem, and that is as we're working to, for instance, no longer have stocks in our portfolios that are, let's say, that are carbon based. We should remember that what we're doing is trading stocks with other people who are owning stocks rather than having a direct impact on the companies themselves. And we need to think through, are we really having an impact when we are actually lowering the price of stocks so that the people who do want to invest in companies can have a lower price? The second issue I think is an interesting one, an important one, has to do with concessionary rates. Currently, there's a lot of work about having impact investing, and we go all the way to the point where we just have a return of capital and a 0 interest rate. But why can't we go further? Because in philanthropy, it's not a 0 interest rate, it's a minus 100% interest rate. So I'd love to see innovations that get us into investment vehicles that have, for example, an expected value of minus 50%, because there's a whole class of investments that still aren't made because there's a chasm between the world of capital markets on the one hand and philanthropy on the other. And then the third one, which really hit me like a ton of bricks about 10 years ago, is we've got to factor government into this, because government is such a big player. And, you know, the notion of just working kind of on the private side isn't going to go right to the heart of so many of the social problems that we're working on. And in fact, we have a new acronym at Third Sector, OFG, Outcomes Focused Government. What can we do to promote that? So I see my time is up. I wish everybody well. I thank you very much for inviting me today, and have a great, great session.
And of course, we'd like to extend a huge thank you to George Overholser, both for your words today, as well as all the support that you've given us in the past. Switching gears a little bit, I'll make this brief, but I wanted to provide a quick overview of what's going to happen today. All panels that will take place in the Sessions tab that you use to get here. As panels come up in the schedule, they'll appear in the Sessions tab 5 minutes before their start time. So don't worry if you only see a couple at a time or one right now. They'll come up as the day goes along. The Expo tab includes a variety of booths featuring our collaborator student organizations, as well as information on NUImpact's recruitment for the fall and Giving Day. There's also a booth explaining how Northeastern students can redeem a $10 Grubhub gift card through the event page on sale. So I'd recommend checking that out at some point if you're a Northeastern student. We'll start with a roundtable on sustainable energy and infrastructure up next. That session is live if you click the Sessions tab on the left of your screen. So all speakers should head over there, as well as any attendees after I finish up here. After that, you'll be able to, in a sense, choose your own adventure with 2 rounds of industry-specific panels. All of these will be recorded, so don't worry about missing out on anything. In between those, we'll have a career conversation with NUImpact alumni and a lunch Q&A with other university funds from across the Northeast. And then finally, we'll reconvene for our closing remarks, ending at 2 p.m. And we've left a half hour following that for general booth exploration, just to be sure that you don't miss anything. If at any point you forget any of this, the reception tab on the left has everything that you need to know. So with that, I'll wrap this up, and everyone should navigate again over to the Sustainable Energy and Infrastructure Roundtable in the Sessions tab on the left-hand side of the screen. I hope everyone has a great experience today, and of course, reach out if anyone has any problems and concerns. Thank you so much.